Okay, so we're just going to have a more detailed look at the crop tool. Specifically, we're going to look at adding and deleting presets, and also look at the absolute dimensions cropping option. So I'll go ahead and select the crop tool on the toolbar here. Now by default, the crop tool works in unconstrained mode, which means you can grab the nodes, click, drag, and resize your cropping boundary to any shape or aspect ratio. So I'll just go ahead and click reset here to get the original full crop bounding box back. Now just a quick tip, you don't actually have to start by dragging one of these nodes. You can actually just click and draw out your crop box from any point in the image. Let's take a look at some of the alternative modes we can work in then. So custom ratio allows us to define a specific aspect ratio that the cropping boundary then becomes locked to. So just to demonstrate this, if I click custom ratio, I can then click the width box and enter a value of, say, 16. Then a really quick way, rather than having to click and highlight the height box, is to tab across to the height box. Then without clicking or selecting anything else, simply type the value you want to use. So we'll go for a 16:9 aspect ratio. Then we hit return, and we'll see the bounding box is now constrained to a 16:9 widescreen aspect ratio. Just to demonstrate this, we can go ahead and resize using any of the nodes, move it around, resize some more, and it will stay locked to that aspect ratio. Now, say we have a series of images and we want to reuse this custom ratio over and over again, we can open up the mode dialog and click Add Preset. Then we can enter a name for the preset, so I'll call this 16:9 widescreen, click OK, and then say we wanted to apply this crop to another image, we would activate the crop tool, go into the mode dialog, and choose that 16:9 widescreen preset we've just saved. And of course we can then readjust the crop to suit our needs. You can of course also delete your presets, so with this preset chosen at the moment, we can click Delete Preset. Then say we move back to our first image. If we look in the dialog box now, it's gone. So far so good. So now let's look at the absolute dimensions cropping mode. And we are going to wander slightly into DPI territory here, so be prepared. So as you can see, we're working in pixels by default, and this allows us to crop in pixels to a specific width and height. So for example, if you wanted to take a 1080p Full HD crop out of an image, you could set the dimensions to 1920 by 1080, and that pixel resolution will be reflected in the crop boundary. Once again, you can save this as a preset. So we could call this 1080p absolute, for example, click OK. Go back to our second image, and this time select the preset again. So this gives us an absolute window of 1920 by 1080 pixels. But if we just reset this for a moment, let's go back into absolute dimensions and look at some of the other units. So this is where the aforementioned DPI comes into play. Let's choose inches. Now by default, this is telling us the absolute size of our current working document in inches. Now let's say we wanted a typical print size, say 7:5. Now that looks absolutely tiny, and you might be thinking, oh, that can't be right, there must be something wrong here. Well, these physical measurements are actually tied into your working document's DPI value. So to access this and to change it, we can go up to Document, Resize Document, and we'll see here we're working with a DPI value of 96. Now, say we were to go ahead and uncheck Resample, change the DPI to 300, which is a widely accepted value for a good quality print. Click Resize. If we move our crop box about, you'll notice the dimensions have actually changed. Now with our current crop selection, what was 7 by 5 inches now becomes 2.24 by 1.6, which, as we would agree, is quite small. So if we go in and once again choose 7 by 5, we'll see a crop boundary that looks much more respectable in size. And true enough, if we switch the units back to pixels, the pixels have changed to 2100 pixels by 1500 pixels, which is the correct pixel resolution for a 300 DPI 7 by 5 inch document. Now, using absolute dimensions is great if you know that you want to take a particular sized crop from your image. But just to clarify, this isn't the only way to get correct print sizes. In fact, if you wanted to do a 5 by 7 print of your whole image, I could just go ahead and click Reset up here, and then if we go into the Mode dialog again and go to Custom Ratio, we can enter 7 by 5. Now this will actually come out slightly taller than the image, so all we need to do is simply resize and move the crop bounding box inside the image. And as we can see here, if we do want a full-sized 7 by 5 print, then we are going to have to compromise and sacrifice some horizontal space. So I'll go ahead and click Apply. And so I could then go ahead and send this to print onto a 7 by 5 inch photo card. And given that we've cropped it specifically to a 7 by 5 ratio, I could go ahead and print it borderless, and it would fill the entire photo card. So that's that. I hope that's just given you a bit more of an insight and understanding into using some of the various options available through the crop tool. If you have any questions, please do ask on the Affinity forums. Thank you for watching.